on, just me and you. Tell me, Chicky, wow, wow, what you gonna do? Hey.
All these modernizations have really helped me. I no longer have to be on a long waiting list to get the book I want to read. As soon as it's available on Talking Book, I can go on the website and download it. There are even faster ways to do it now, smartphone apps and things like that. And I do that a little bit. I'm a person that's slow, obviously, to take on new technology, and being able to grab a bunch of books and in a few minutes put them on a USB and then put them on the machine is satisfactory for me at this time, mostly. However, I got a letter from the Talking Book people, and I was saying earlier about the day when I know I'm going to get letters from utilities or companies I pay with paper. There aren't that many, but the ones I do are going to tell me at some point that they either don't take mail payments anymore or there's going to be a fee. I got a letter sort of like that from the Talking Book people. We're right at the tail end of COVID now, and there's been so many changes with supply chain issues. It's hard to know which part is COVID, which part is the economy, fuel prices. Who knows why everything is as messed up as it is, but apparently the people who print the Talking Books are having trouble getting the paper to print the books, and they have decided that the Talking Book paper catalog that I used to get 4 times a year, that the issue we got this last winter was the last one. And after this, we have to go to the website. And I mean, I knew eventually it would change over. And I haven't done my old ritual for a long time because it's more efficient to do it the other way now. But what I used to do, well, I used to not understand that people were calling in their list book. They used to send a checklist in the back of the book, and you matched up the number for the book you wanted. You didn't do it by the title, you did it by the catalog number. You would see a description, it give the title of the book, the author, sometimes who was reading it, how long it was, and then a little blurb for it. And they gave you the catalog number. So I would circle all the ones that I wanted in the catalog. Then I would tear out these pages and put my name on each sheet. There were 3 of them usually for books for adults. Then there was a page for books for children, and then one that was for books in Spanish, French, and so on. And there were 4 or 5 long columns on each side of each page of these catalog checkmark pages. And they gave all of the shelving numbers. So it said DB718142 and so on. And you would match it to what was in the catalog, and I would take a pencil and have a very joyous kind of pleasantly OCD time sitting down with my finger on the catalogs, matching it up and making sure that I was marking or Xing the box to say that that's one I wanted. And then I used to take, sometimes they would say it was a sequel, and they would tell you the name and the number for the previous book. So if I hadn't read book 1, they didn't really have a place for it, but I would just write it in the margin, and I would say also please, and then I would say DB416152, and hope that somebody saw that, made a note, and sent me the first book in the series, and that I would get the first one in a reasonable time before, even if I got it after the second one, if I hopefully got the first book soon enough, I could keep the second book long enough to read the first one, return it, and then read the second book. It didn't always work out that way, but I would try. So I started to say earlier that I didn't realize a lot of people were phoning theirs in. And so I would be trying to hurry to get my things in to get on the waiting list sooner. And of course, everyone who used the phone number and just called in and asked the librarian for what they wanted beat me to it. And then I realized after a while that I really am not the kind of person who wants to rush ahead. And if people are really that eager to get the new bestseller or the new book in the series they're reading, let them have it first. I mean, maybe they were a person older than me and didn't have long in their life to read, or just anxious or wanted to get ahead, whatever. Let them be like that. That was fine. So then after that, it became more leisurely and I enjoyed it more. I'd have a cup of coffee. Sometimes I'd do it in the afternoon, like before I was waiting for my daughter to get home from school, or I would bring this little writing project with me to check the boxes. for these sheets, and there's something I could do on the bus, or if I was in a waiting room waiting for my child to come back from getting her teeth checked at the dentist or whatever. And then eventually I would end up with 3 sheets that had little check marks and X's, at various places on these columns, and then my name and address printed at the top of each one. Then I would fold them together, get an envelope. I'd have to go look up the address because you get the catalog from the Library of Congress and whatever the publishing arm of that is. And they're telling you where the books are, which are in the warehouse, which is somewhere else. But then where you're sending your request to is the talking book programs within local libraries or state libraries. Your local public library probably isn't, depending on where you live, but it's probably not where the talking book program for your state is. But if it is, if you live in a capital city, it might be. But otherwise, like when I lived in Columbus, Ohio, the capital was Columbus, but they actually had the talking book thing was up in Cleveland. So I would have to look up the address, usually from one of the send back cards to send back books, and find out where my address was to send back my list and put it on there. And then at the top, you didn't have to put a stamp on, which was always kind of fun. You could write it. At that time, it said free matter for the blind or physically handicapped. And now they don't say handicapped, they say disabled. But you didn't have to put a stamp on. And you had to leave the flap open so the Postmaster General could check and make sure you were not trying to sneak a free letter to some spy network that you had at the talking book program at the Cleveland Public Library. Whatever. We'd mail that off, and then, who knew when I would get the books. But as I say, I wasn't in a hurry, and I didn't want to make it a rushed process. Over the years, as the digital thing was more available to me, I stopped filling out the little check boxes. Partly because of the new technology, and partly because I just had too much other stuff to do. But I did continue to circle in the catalog what I wanted, and then often I ended up writing the titles of the books and the author on the covers or the note pages. Sometimes they have blank note pages inside the catalog, and I would write down what I wanted and go to the website. It was always a little joy to get the catalog in the mailbox. I mean, I'm all for the environment trees. I'm famous for recycling and caring about the earth and reusing paper and stuff like that. So I don't regret that they're not using pulpwood to make newsprint to make this anymore, hopefully, and not transporting it in trucks. It's better carbon footprint and all that stuff. I get that. But I am going to miss. The catalog is kind of bigger than a traditional magazine, not quite as big as the old photo magazines that my parents used to get, like Look or Life, but it's bigger than a modern magazine because it's in large print, the catalog. And so often it had to be kind of folded up like a shopping catalog to go into your mailbox. And I would see the big letters on the front and the colors, whatever colors they were using, the cheap color of the moment. And it felt like a little present, a little gift, a catalog, and it was free. So everything in it, I could get more free books on tape and then books on USB eventually. And I'll still have the option of seeing what's new on the website as it comes up. I'm sure it's on the website somehow. I'll have to find out how to access it. So I'm not down any books. And as I say, I haven't been doing the little check marks for a while. But it's a little ritual, like the bill paying on the legal pad. I think it was the pace of the ritual. I feel so sped up in this new digital world, sometimes for the good. Sometimes it's great to be able to leave a voicemail message for someone or send someone. I just filled out a refund form for something, and I was able to take digital camera pictures of everything we needed. Didn't have to mail it in an envelope and wait a million years for everything to happen. They could get the information right away. So I do like the sped up modern life we live in. But I think I'm going to need to find some other rituals when the bill paying and the talking book topics are just, the second one's gone now, and then the bill paying is going to go away slowly, of ordering my mind and peacefully going slowly at a pace that I can understand top to bottom, left to right.